Asher drew the truth card and was asked to describe me in one word. He smiled casually and said, "Housekeeper, capable and capable." His buddies burst into ambiguous jeers and all asked him how capable she was. I quietly left the party, took a taxi to Asher's home. I cut the air conditioner's wire and sprinkled glue all over his bed. After that, I blocked all of Asher's contact information and walked away. A year later, on TV, Asher was asked about his first love and was slightly lost in thought. "When I was young and reckless, if time could go back, I really wanted to see her again." Just at that moment, my boss pushed the door open and asked me, "Zara, are you going to investigate the Zhou group for tax evasion this time?" I nodded affirmatively, yes. 01 When I came back after paying the bill, they were playing Truth or Dare in the private room. It was Asher's turn and he chose Truth. His little first love was clinging to him and asked coquettishly, "Asher, describe your girlfriend in one word." It was the first anniversary of my relationship with Asher. It was also the first time he admitted our relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend in front of everyone. I withdrew my hand that was about to push the door open. I stood silently at the door, even holding my breath. Pretty? Cute? Sexy? I knew that I was just average looking, but the criteria for judging a person aren't just about appearance. Besides appearance, there's also inner beauty. I love sports, I'm good at cooking, I love cleanliness, and I'm organized in everything I do. Optimistic? Gentle? Sunny? I could accept words like these. I even began to look forward to Asher's answer. In his heart, what was I really like? The private room fell silent, and soon Asher's casual voice came, "Housekeeper, capable and capable." 02 As soon as these words came out, there was a sudden burst of laughter in the private room. The one who laughed the happiest was Finn, Asher's childhood friend. He had an ambiguous smile. "Asher, be clearer. What do you mean by capable?" With this question, everyone laughed even louder. Everyone was winking, and for a moment, all kinds of vulgar speculations were flying around. Asher's little first love had laughed enough and poked Asher, complaining coquettishly, "Do something about them. What are they talking about?" Asher shook his wine glass as if watching a show. At this moment, being poked by his little first love, he finally lazily came out to stop them. "All right, stop making wild guesses. I mean, she's efficient at doing chores, good at cooking and cleaning, so I said she's capable." My clenched fists loosened a bit. I was just about to push the door open when I heard Asher continue, "As for the other, capable, what? Do you want her to come and demonstrate it for you on the spot?" Another burst of even louder laughter rang out, accompanied by cheerful whistles. The atmosphere was lively, and vulgar remarks kept coming, only I stood outside the private room, stiff all over. 03 The first time I met Asher was when I was in the most embarrassing situation. At that time, I had just been admitted to university from a small mountain village. I was wearing worn-out cloth shoes and carrying a snakeskin bag, completely out of place in the city. I stood at the subway entrance, quietly observing how the people beside me operated. That was when Asher appeared. He had a nice smile, showing a row of neat white teeth. He helped me carry my snakeskin bag, taught me how to take the subway, and even took me to the school. Only then did I find out that he was a senior 1 year older than me. I even drank the first cup of milk tea in my life. Asher bought it for me when he was buying water. When Asher left, I flattened the triangular paper money one by one and ran over to put it in his hand. Asher was stunned for a moment. Seeing my reserved appearance, he smiled and waved goodbye to me. He left casual and elegantly, so casual and elegantly that he didn't notice at all. A tiny thread of a girl's affection also quietly fell into his smile. 04 I chased Asher for a long time, and finally Asher agreed to my confession. But he had a condition that we must keep our relationship a secret, and today was the first anniversary of our relationship. It was also the first time Asher was willing to disclose our relationship. I booked the private room early, bought a new dress, and spent a whole day dressing up. On this day full of expectations, I got the evaluation of housekeeper. The waiter who came to deliver wine to the private room was startled when he saw me standing in the corner. Looking at my pale face, he asked if I needed help. I shook my head and went to the front desk. "Excuse me, can I get the money I just paid for the bill back?" I turned around and looked at that private room and continued, "Add 10 bottles of mutai to that private room. I'll take them away." 05 I was carrying the mutai. To be honest, it was a bit heavy. I randomly found a store on the roadside and sold it right away. After getting the money, I took a taxi and went directly to Asher's home. As soon as I entered the room, I was in a daze for a moment, and all the memories came flooding back. Asher and I were from two different worlds. In the second month of chasing Asher, I heard a lot of rumors. Everyone laughed at my appearance and clothes, saying that I was like a toad dreaming of eating swan meat. I heard his brother joking with him, "Look, you helped a little country girl once, and now she's clinging to you. How unlucky." I looked down at my rustic outfit and made up my mind to change. With the help of my roommates, I began to learn skin care and makeup. Actually, my family wasn't poor. My family raised dozens of cows and sheep. It's just that I had stayed in a small mountain village with my grandma for a long time and had never seen a big city before. I could understand that Asher's friends looked down on me. But Asher didn't say anything at that time, so I thought he didn't agree with that statement. It was a long time later that I realized. His friend's attitude towards me actually depended on his attitude towards me. If a person respects and values you, the people around him won't dare to make jokes about you casually. By my sophomore year, I had changed a lot. My tan skin gradually became fair again. I started wearing dresses and styling my hair. Those boys who used to love laughing at and teasing me blushed when they saw me again. On the first day of school, Asher stared at me for a long time. After I confessed my love again, Asher agreed. That night when I went back to the dormitory, I was so excited that I couldn't fall asleep in the middle of the night. My roommates were also happy for me, but what they were happy about wasn't that I was in a relationship. They were happy that I had finally become confident. Zara, I hope you know that the good one is you. You deserve to be loved by anyone. At that time, I felt that I was the happiest person in the world. My studies were going smoothly, my roommates were kind, I made a lot of friends, and I had a successful relationship with Asher, whom I had secretly loved for a long time. In the evening, I called my grandma. Grandma asked me if I was in a relationship. I rolled around on the bed and nodded shyly, yes. I'll bring him back for you to see during the summer vacation. 07 Asher bought a house near the school. After we started dating, he often asked me to accompany him. Every day after class, I would go to cook for him, wash his clothes, and clean the house. I even had to wash Asher's 2 cars. Every time after washing them, my back and waist were aching. Once, it started raining heavily outside after I cooked dinner. I didn't have an umbrella and said that I wanted to stay for the night. Asher's house had 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. I thought it would be okay to stay in the guest room. But Asher didn't agree. He looked me up and down, and his voice was gentle. Zara, you wouldn't deliberately want to climb into my bed in the middle of the night, would you? Girls should cherish themselves. That day, I went back to school in the heavy rain. The next day, I had a high fever, and I never mentioned wanting to stay overnight again. Now that I think about it, Asher was right. Which girlfriend was like me? I was just a housekeeper. No, a housekeeper gets paid and has a special room. I'm not even as good as a housekeeper. I was just free labor, and I even offered myself voluntarily. 08 I took down the photo of us hanging in the living room. I tore off my part and put it away carefully, and directly shredded Asher's part and flushed it down the toilet. It's funny to think about it. I was the one who wanted to hang this photo. But every time Asher's brothers came, I had to take it down and hide it carefully. I was really like a mouse, unable to see the light and having to avoid people. I took out scissors and first cut the wires of the air conditioner, the TV, and the network cable. After that, I went to the kitchen and took out chili oil and directly poured it into the cupboard. The expired milk and fruit in the fridge were casually thrown under the sofa by me. Asher's underwear in the wardrobe was also found by me, and I cut holes in all of them. I used the toothbrush to scrub the toilet and then put it back properly. I thought about it and went downstairs to buy super glue, the colorless kind. I hummed a song and happily sprinkled it all over Asher's bed. An hour had passed when I had made the whole house a mess. I nodded with satisfaction. Before leaving, I also took away all of Asher's car keys. Just as I walked out of the community gate, I received a call from Asher. He sounded a bit unhappy. Where did you go? Everyone is waiting for you, don't you know? Having vented some of my anger, I was still in the mood to joke with him. Guess? Maybe I'm at your house? Asher paused for a moment, and his voice was cold. Zara, this joke isn't funny. I didn't say anything, and Asher seemed to sense something. For the first time ever, he softened his tone. Still angry because of Jocelyn? Didn't I say it was just a game? Jocelyn, his little first love. Jocelyn, how affectionate that sounds. Unlike me, he always calls me by my full name. No, it's okay. You can play the game as much as you like. Jocelyn lost the game and drew the dare card, and the requirement was to sit on someone's lap. She shyly looked up at Asher, and Asher understood immediately and pulled her into his arms. Everyone was laughing, except that my face turned black. I left the private room, paid the bill, and was about to find an excuse to leave. Unexpectedly, at the door of the private room, I heard Asher's casual word, housekeeper. He told me to cherish myself, but in front of his buddies, he treated me like a joke. He let everyone make vulgar jokes about me and have ambiguous speculations. I had never been in a relationship before, but I knew that loving someone wasn't like this. I didn't believe that he would be willing to treat his little first love like this. Zara, is it really necessary? I've made our relationship public as you wanted. I've even posted about it on Moments. What else do you want? Asher's tone carried a hint of anger as he accused me of being unreasonable. When it came to Moments, I just wanted to laugh. After we started dating, Asher was reluctant to make our relationship public. He said that he didn't want us to become the subject of others' gossip. But on Chichi Festival, Asher posted a single photo on Moments with the caption, "Happy being single." My roommates were very angry after seeing it and all said that they would seek an explanation from me. While comforting my roommates, I sent a text message to Asher to question him. Asher's reply was simple, "I've already said that making it public is troublesome. If you keep making a fuss, then we'll break up." So I compromised. I was so naive back then. I always thought that as long as two people loved each other, everything else was unimportant. Whether to post on Moments or make it public didn't matter. Our relationship was between Asher and me. What did it matter if others knew about it or not? It wasn't until later that Asher started posting photos of him going out to play with his little first love. The two of them were wearing couple outfits and taking all kinds of intimate travel photos. Everyone thought they were a couple, and Asher never denied it. Finally, I couldn't bear it anymore and had our first quarrel. Asher was playing games, letting me be hysterical, and said indifferently, "If you keep making a fuss, we'll break up." That time, I was silent for a long time and then said, "Then let's break up." 10 After breaking up, I cried for a long time and then forced myself to go to class. I no longer delivered meals or gave gifts to Asher. Every time I met him, I just treated him like a stranger. 2 weeks later, I volunteered at a basketball game at school. Asher's team won first place. I silently handed them water and was about to turn around and leave. Unexpectedly, Asher called out to me first. He walked around to me, bent down, and smiled at me. "What? Still angry? I came to participate because I heard you were volunteering here." Asher showed me his phone. All the content about Jocelyn on his Moments had been deleted. He gave me a key and said that I could come and go freely in his house from then on. That day, Asher accompanied me to clean the basketball court. He didn't let me do anything. He ran around and put all the equipment back in place by himself. I stared blankly at the sweat on his head, just like when he helped me carry my snakeskin bag on the first day of school. From the small mountain village all the way to the big city, I had endured countless strange looks. Only Asher didn't dislike my ignorance or think my luggage was dirty, so I softened my heart and agreed to get back together with him. When I went to his house again, I saw takeout boxes and garbage all over the floor at first sight. Now that I think about it, Asher didn't realize that he had fallen in love with me. Instead, he suddenly realized that hiring a housekeeper to clean would cost money. So he came back to find me. He made me soften my heart just by sweating a little. That's why he took me home on the first day we got back together. He let me clean the room for a whole day before it was barely in a livable state. 11 Looking back on the past, I really felt like I had been bewitched. Having endured so much contempt and grievance, how could I still think that Asher loved me? I cursed myself for being stupid, but then I felt something was wrong. Holding the phone, I cursed Asher 10 times for being stupid without stopping and then blocked all his contact information. I stood at the gate of the community for a long time, so long that passers-by gave me strange looks. My best friend called me and excitedly asked me to turn on the video to see the new dress she had bought. I said that I was outside and it wasn't convenient right now and that I would video call her later. My best friend's excited voice gradually faded. After a while, she asked me carefully, "Zara, what's wrong? Why do you seem to be in a bad mood?" From the time I left the private room to the time I went to Asher's house to vent my anger and take revenge, I had been calm all the way. I could even joke with Asher and scold him. But when I heard my best friend's question, I couldn't hold back the lump in my throat. I wiped my face and my hand was full of tears. Nothing. I just suddenly saw the light. I stared at the sky, pretending to be relaxed. Long live being single. Long live freedom. Asher, when the grievances I've suffered gradually outweigh the initial feelings I had for you, I won't love you anymore. I'll love myself more. 12 a year later, I passed the civil service examination and entered a very good unit. I didn't attend any of the class reunions after graduation, but my best friend mentioned it occasionally in our chats. Hey Zara, do you still remember Finn? Asher's childhood friend. After saying that, my best friend realized that something was wrong and carefully looked at my expression. Seeing that I didn't care at all, she felt relieved and continued gossiping with me. He was arranged by his family to get married right after graduation. Well, a few days ago, he was caught while having a foot massage. Then just when the police were checking, do you know what the police said? The police said, "Why are you always caught in anti-prostitution raids?" My best friend was laughing so hard that she could hardly stand up straight. I helplessly held her up. Finn was the wildest among Asher's childhood friends. He was also the one who made the most vulgar jokes about me back then. Actually, I should have known earlier. Since he could play with Finn, how could Asher be an innocent person? He didn't want to make our relationship public back then. Perhaps he was afraid that I would block his romantic opportunities. 13 Because I needed to find some information, I turned on my old mobile phone. Strangely enough, the mobile phone number that hadn't been used for a year still had phone credit. I clicked on the text messages and there were nearly 1,000 of them. Most of them were sent from an unfamiliar number. I scrolled through them and had an idea in my mind. They were all sent by Asher. At first, he sent cold and sarcastic messages, saying that he wouldn't even look at me in the future even if I begged him. After more than a month, his attitude softened and he said that as long as I came back, he would forgive me. 2 months later, his tone became a bit anxious and he kept asking me if something had happened. The latest one was 3 days ago, and it only had 4 short words: "I regret it." I read a few and then stopped looking. After finding the information, I turned off the phone and threw it into a corner. I really couldn't figure Asher out. And I didn't want to figure him out either. 14 The next day at work, I accidentally clicked on the news headline. An interview suddenly popped up. I was stunned for a moment. The person on the screen was Asher. At this moment, he was wearing a suit, his hair combed back, looking like an elite. Well, I had said it long ago that we were from 2 different worlds. I came from a small mountain village, and he was born as the heir of the Zhou family. The program should be almost finished recording, and the atmosphere was a bit more relaxed. A member of the live audience asked Asher what his impression of his first love was. Asher, who had been in control of the whole situation, was a bit distracted at this moment. After a while, he looked at the camera. "If I have to say, it's just regret. When I was young and reckless, if time could go back, I really wanted to see her again." I closed the video and didn't watch the rest of the content. Just at that moment, my boss walked in and asked me, "Zara, about the investigation into the Zhou Group's tax evasion that we talked about last week, are you going?" I nodded affirmatively, yes. 15 When I arrived at the place, I just realized. The Zhou of the Zhou Group we mentioned was Asher's Zhou. I was standing at the entrance in a daze when someone suddenly pushed me. "Get out of the way. The big boss is coming." I looked up and saw that the people around me moved aside. A black car stopped at the entrance. First, 2 bodyguards got out. Then a pair of legs stepped out. It was Asher in a suit. It was too hot, and he looked a bit impatient. As soon as he got out of the car, he walked quickly inside. "Ah, my coffee!" The man shouted and grabbed my hand to prevent me from leaving. "Pay for my coffee." I frowned. Obviously, this man bumped into me himself, but he put the blame on me instead. A cup of coffee wasn't worth much, but I didn't want to swallow this loss without saying anything. Just when the two of us were arguing, a trembling voice came. "Zara? Is it Zara?" I turned around and faced Asher's stiff face. Seeing that I was looking at him, he seemed to want to smile, but his lips twitched a few times but couldn't form a smile. After several failed attempts, Asher simply pursed his lips. He took off his watch, stuffed it into the man's hand, and told him to get lost, and then walked towards me step by step. Finally, the two of us were standing face to face. Asher's Adam's apple bobbed. "Long time no see." I looked Asher up and down. I hadn't seen him for a year, and he seemed a bit more mature. The sharpness in his eyes had become more restrained. His temperament seemed to have become more stable too. I thought that when he saw me again, he would call the police and have me arrested. The air was silent for a moment. Asher's voice was a bit hoarse. Where did you go back then? I sent you text messages. Why didn't you reply? I didn't say anything. Just at that moment, my colleague also arrived and quickly walked up to me. My colleague sensed the strange atmosphere between us and scratched his head. Do you know each other? Asher seemed to have just come to his senses and nodded coldly and distantly to my colleague. My colleague shook hands with him. Hello, Asher. We're here specifically to see you today. Asher's eyes lit up and he suddenly looked at me full of joy. You came specifically to see me. I knew you. When Asher was about to pull me again, I slightly dodged. Yes, I came specifically to see you today. I took out my work ID and smiled at Asher. Asher, we've received a public report that the Zhou Group is involved in tax evasion. Please cooperate with our investigation. 16 in the office, Asher's face was very ugly. His eyes were fixed on me as if they were spitting fire. I didn't care at all and was flipping through the documents sent by the secretary. At this moment, the door was pushed open and a loud voice rang out. Asher, lend me some money. My wife at home is too strict. Finn walked in and stopped when he saw us. Then he recognized my face, was stunned for a moment, and soon remembered. TSK, isn't this Asher's ex-girlfriend? After thinking for a while, Finn changed his words. No, ex-girlfriend? What, regretted it and want to pester Asher again? He was smiling, looking me up and down at my face and clothes without restraint. Finn, watch your words. Asher warned coldly. Finn looked at him, pursed his lips, and didn't say anything more. Counting carefully, I had known Asher for 4 years, and this was the first time he had defended me when his brother made fun of me. Unfortunately, I didn't get it in the past, and I don't need it now either. I put down the documents and also looked Finn up and down with a critical eye, sneering. Long time no see. You're just the same as before. Before Finn could reply, I continued. I thought you'd be locked up for a few more days for being caught in the anti-prostitution raid. You got out so soon. Finn's face had already turned a bit dark. As if suddenly realizing something, I pointed at Asher. No wonder you need to borrow money. You can't even afford the fine. I turned my gaze back to Finn and said in a flat tone, Oh, it seems you haven't been doing well in these years. 17 Finn was so angry that he almost died. Asher stopped him from taking any action. I calmly continued to read the documents without even lifting my eyelids. Right after Finn, another person came in. I looked up and saw that it was another acquaintance. Asher's little first love, Jocelyn. She was wearing high heels, with exquisite makeup, and her chin was raised arrogantly. But as soon as she saw Asher, she immediately turned into a pitiful little white rabbit. When Finn saw her, his eyes lit up. Jocelyn, you're finally here. Finn seemed to see a weapon to restrain me and looked at me provocatively. Zara, I've never seen anyone as shameless as you. It's been so long since you broke up, yet you're still pestering Asher. Jocelyn put on an understanding look. Sister, I know you can't let go of the past, but you'll cause trouble for Asher like this. We're almost engaged. Sister, you don't want to be a mistress, do you? Sure enough, after breaking up with me, Asher got together with Jocelyn. I wasn't surprised at all when I heard that. The two of them sang in harmony and directly labeled me as the ex-girlfriend who was shamelessly begging for a reunion. Asher stood aside without saying a word. Only when Jocelyn's words became more and more unpleasant and she called me a slut did he speak to stop her. Enough, Jocelyn. He then looked up at me. Zara, I can let bygones be bygones about the past, but you have to tell me why you left back then. It was the first time I heard Asher call me Zara, and I couldn't help frowning. Finn was the first to disagree and shouted, Why let bygones be bygones? Look at what she did to your house when she left. You were covered in glue and had to stay in the hospital for half a month. How can you just forget about it? Jocelyn also chimed in, Yes, sister, I didn't expect you to be so vicious. You must pay for it. I turned to look at Asher and asked, Do you want to settle accounts with me? Asher seemed to regain the confidence he used to have in front of me and slightly raised his head. Not really. I don't care about that little money, but you can apologize to me. I nodded knowingly. All right, then let's start settling accounts. Asher was stunned. Settle what? Didn't I say I wouldn't hold it against you? I took out a calculator. Settle my accounts. According to the current market price, a cook earns 8,000 yuan per month. A housekeeper earns 6,000 yuan per month. Car washing is 100 yuan each time. Washing 2 cars twice a week, that's 1,600 yuan per month. Social insurance and housing provident fund are calculated as 2,000 yuan. In total, it's 17,600 yuan per month. I was in a relationship with you for a year, which is 12 months. Added up, it's 211,200 yuan. I'll round it off for you. Just give me 220,000 yuan. I stretched out my hand to Asher and asked politely, Alipay or WeChat? 18 Asher was so angry that he couldn't say a word for a long time. I asked him suspiciously if he was so poor now. Asher took a deep breath and finally scanned the QR code for me with an ugly expression on his face. Jocelyn and Finn were both dumbfounded beside him. Finn was the first to react. So you heard what we said that day? I turned to look at him, looking calm and composed. That's right. You claim to be rich people, but you even deducted the nanny's wages. I looked at Asher and Jocelyn again and said with contempt, you're the really shameless ones. Jocelyn's eyes were filled with anger. She seemed to be already married to Asher and had an inexplicable possessiveness over his money. She suddenly rushed over, trying to slap me and cursed me as a bitch. I dodged and watched her fall to the ground due to inertia, screaming in pain. Don't rush. It's your turn too. I picked up my phone, stopped recording, and made a call. Hello, is this 110? I want to report a crime. I smiled at Jocelyn and Finn. Someone is obstructing official duties and insulting and attacking official personnel. I demand that criminal liability be investigated. I won't accept mediation. 19 is a popular young actress. Jocelyn's news of being taken away by the police in public directly rushed to the top of the hot search list. I didn't hide it either and directly made all the videos of her hysterically scolding people public. Jocelyn's image as a pure little flower was shattered all at once, causing a huge public outcry. The news about Finn's promiscuous behavior was also known by his family. His wife was a decisive person and directly filed for divorce. She also found evidence and presented it in court, demanding that Finn leave the house empty-handed. In the evening when I went out to throw away the garbage, I was stopped on the road by Asher, who had been waiting for a long time. I saw clearly that it was him, but I pretended not to know. I took out my anti-wolf spray and sprayed it directly on his face. Asher was sprayed until his nose and eyes were full of tears and mucus, looking as embarrassed as he could be. I stepped back and looked at him warily. What? Have you changed your career to become a pervert? Are you so in love with Jocelyn that you want to go to the police station to accompany her? Hearing my words, Asher coughed even more severely, finally managing to stop coughing. Asher's eyes were red with discomfort. Looking at my wary look, he was silent for a moment and then said, Zara, can we talk? 20 in the coffee shop. Asher ordered 2 cups of coffee, but I didn't drink it. Drinking coffee at night? I really doubted if Asher had a problem with his mind. I got straight to the point. What do you want to say? Asher's hand trembled when he met my cold look. Don't look at me like that, Zara. Suddenly, Asher took out a box and pushed it in front of me. It was a necklace, shiny, and the tag on it hadn't been removed yet. You can guess when I bought it. Seeing that I ignored him, Asher smiled self-deprecatingly. It was on the first anniversary of our relationship. I ordered a cake, bought a gift, and was going to give it to you that day. You said you'd go out for a while and I waited in the private room, but I never waited for you to come back. Asher's affectionate look made me feel a bit sick. I mercilessly exposed him. Stop pretending. Weren't you having a great time playing games in the private room? Remembering the scene at that time, my tone became cold. Was it fun to ridicule me with outsiders? Asher's face was a bit pale. I was just joking back then. You know, they all love to play. If I had protected you, so you couldn't swallow your pride and simply join them instead. I interrupted Asher's words. Asher fell silent. After a while, he apologized to me. I'm sorry. Give me your phone. I suddenly said that, and Asher was stunned for a moment, but soon he came to his senses, unlocked it, and handed it to me. What do you want to see? I'll find it for you. I took it, opened WeChat, and started looking for chat records. Asher seemed to think of something, and his face became even paler. He reached out to take the phone back. Don't. But I had already found what I was looking for. I showed the phone screen, expressionless. Asher, if you want to apologize, then what about these? That time in the private room wasn't the only time, was it? 21. I searched for the keywords and dense chat records filled the whole screen, and most of the chat records were from a small group. There were Jocelyn, Asher, Finn, and Asher's other buddies in the group, but I was the only one not in the group. At first, the way they referred to me in the group was country bumpkin, poor wretch. Later, it became bootlicker, toad, sticky slug that couldn't be shaken off. After I started dating Asher, the terms became even more offensive: bitch, housekeeper, and even the word bitch that Asher used. Insulting words filled the screen, shocking to the eye. In the middle of the screen was a message sent by Finn. I suggested last time that you take your housekeeper to go horseback riding. Wasn't it fun? Asher, she was so scared that she kept shouting for help. It was hilarious. Her posture really looked like a toad. Jocelyn, I took a lot of ugly pictures. Let's enjoy them together, ha ha ha. I remembered that day, after I started dating Asher, it was the first time he took the initiative to invite me out on a date. The horse was a bit temperamental, and I was too scared to move, crying all the time, and Asher just watched me and smiled, as if he was enjoying the scene. Only when I looked at him for help did he come over and gently comfort me. I always thought that he took me on a horseback riding date to let me understand his hobbies and integrate into his circle. I even felt ashamed because I cried in public and thought that I was useless. It was only until now that I realized. Originally, among all the people at the whole horse ranch back then, I was the only one who was there as a joke, but I didn't know it at all. My tears, my fears, all were things for these upper-class people to amuse themselves. I threw both cups of coffee at Asher's face and slapped him with all my strength. With tears in my eyes, memories were churning in my head. Asher's gentleness, Asher's smile, Asher's harshness, Asher's casualness. Countless faces of Asher mixed together made me extremely disgusted. I picked up a bench and smashed it directly at Asher, hitting his head and making it bleed. You people should go to hell. 22 months later, the results of the investigation into the Zhou group came out. Asher was found guilty of tax evasion, with the amount reaching as high as 1 billion yuan. Among them, a large part was from an entertainment company under his name that was evading taxes, and the only artist signed by this entertainment company was Jocelyn. This incident immediately became a hot topic. The topic of Jocelyn being a lawbreaker rushed to the hot search list. The brands that Jocelyn endorsed terminated their contracts with her one after another and demanded compensation for breach of contract. The variety shows and TV dramas she had participated in were also taken off the shelves one after another, and the production teams filed claims. The stock price of the Zhou group plummeted, losing billions of yuan in a day. The judgments for Asher and Jocelyn also came down quickly. Both of them needed to pay fines and serve prison sentences according to the law. 23 Before Asher went to prison, his only request was to meet me. I sat in front of him. I really didn't want to stay with him any longer, so I directly asked, "What do you want to say?" "Hurry up." Asher lowered his head. After a long time, his first words were, "I'm sorry. I know I've done a lot of wrong things in the past. No matter how many sorries I say, it won't be enough, but I still want to apologize to you." Asher looked at me, his eyes turning red. "I really liked you. I just didn't understand it at that time. You chased me for such a long time, and I really thought that no matter what I did, you wouldn't leave me, so I was so unscrupulous. After you left back then, I suffered for a long time. I asked many people, but none of them knew where you were. I could only fall asleep relying on alcohol every day. I didn't get engaged to Jocelyn either. She was lying to you. I didn't refute it because I just wanted to see if you would be jealous." Asher's eyes were full of pain. Suddenly, he looked at me, his tone trembling. "Can we start over? After I get out, you can take revenge on me however you want, but don't ignore me." I looked down at my watch. There was still half an hour left before the appointed time. The time was okay, so I might as well make things clear. I looked into Asher's expectant eyes and asked softly, "Do you know why I liked you?" Asher was stunned for a moment and said uncertainly, "Appearance? Family background?" I shook my head. "Because you were the first person to help me carry my luggage and take me on the subway when school started that year." Asher's eyes widened and he asked in disbelief, "Just because of that?" I nodded. A person like him had lived in a prosperous big city since childhood and was accustomed to everything. The environment he grew up in and the praise he received also developed his confident and flamboyant personality. So he wouldn't understand the helplessness of a girl from a small mountain village when she saw the subway for the first time. He also wouldn't know how many people disliked me for being in the way and dirty as I carried my snakeskin bag all the way. I was out of place in the whole city. And Asher was the first person to offer me a helping hand. I stared at Asher, who was in a daze, and said in a soft voice, "However, The person who really helped me back then wasn't you, was it? 24. If I had been a bit older, if I had met more people, I might have easily seen the disgust in Asher's eyes at that time. He smiled and taught me how to take the subway, but he kept a meter away from me, unwilling to touch me. I only saw that he helped me carry my snakeskin bag, but I didn't see his furrowed brows. I gave him money for the milk tea. I only saw his smile, but I didn't see that he threw the money on the ground as soon as he left. In his chat records that day was described like this: annoying. Where did this bumpkin come from? I had to take 3 showers when I got back because it was so dirty. The school really accepts all kinds of trash. People from the countryside should stay in the countryside all their lives. 25. Later, during a work assignment, I met Chloe. She was a beautiful, lovely, and lively young lady. When she saw me for the first time, she exclaimed in surprise, "Ah, it's you." I froze on the spot, certain that I had no impression of this young lady in front of me. Chloe cheerfully took my wrist. "I know you. We're from the same school. You're so amazing. You won scholarships every year." Later, after we got familiar with each other, Chloe told me with a blink of her eyes. "The first time she saw me was actually at the subway station. I saw you standing there for a long time. You must have encountered some trouble. But I was in a hurry to catch a plane at that time, so I asked Asher to help you. He had just quarreled with his family and came to borrow money from me. He was really reluctant. I urged him 3 times, but he still wouldn't go. There was no other way. I could only promise him that he didn't need to pay back the money I lent him, and then he reluctantly agreed to help you. I've known Asher since we were kids, but I don't like his group of friends, so our relationship has always been rather cold. I didn't want to lend him the money originally." I was silent for a long time and asked in a low voice, "Then why did you want to help me at that time?" Chloe had a beautiful smile and asked me back in surprise instead, "Does it need a reason? Besides, even if I didn't go, if you waited a bit longer, someone else would have helped you." Chloe tugged at my hair, turned her face sideways to look into my eyes. "I thought your eyes were so beautiful at first sight. Look, you also have a mole of tears. That's why I recognized you immediately when I saw you again. Classmate Zara, it's fate that we meet again. Would you like to be friends with me?" I agreed, and so Chloe became a very good friend. Actually, I should have realized it earlier. A person's nature doesn't change. How could Asher suddenly change from being friendly and gentlemanly at the beginning to being frivolous and mean? It was completely opposite, like 2 different people, unless when we first met. Helping me wasn't his intention. 26. I got up to leave, but suddenly I was called back. I turned around, and Asher was looking at me. I thought he was going to say something more, but Asher just looked at me. Just when I was getting a bit impatient, Asher lowered his eyes. He said softly, "Happy birthday." I glanced at him without saying a word and turned around to leave. After going out, my best friend had already called, "Zara, have you set off yet?" I checked the time. "I'm on my way. You can order the dishes first when you arrive. I'll be there in at most 15 minutes. There were laughter on the other end of the phone, but soon someone shushed them to keep quiet. I hung up the phone, hailed a taxi, and went to the appointed place. After getting out of the taxi and just walking to the entrance, I could already faintly hear the sounds of decoration inside the room. I called my best friend. "I'm at the entrance." Soon, my best friend walked out in a hurry. When she saw me, she suddenly pointed at the shop beside us and said, "Oh, I suddenly want some ice cream. Zara, come with me to buy some." I obediently followed her, pretending not to notice the colored ribbon that had accidentally stuck to her hair. After buying the ice cream and coming back, I pushed open the door first. The room was dark inside. But soon, the lights came on, accompanied by the singing of "Happy Birthday." In the beautifully decorated room, a big cake was carefully pushed out. "Zara, happy birthday. Zara is 1 year older. Hooray! Quick, blow out the candles and make a wish. Make 10 wishes." I was surrounded by my friends, put on a birthday hat, and sat in the middle. Among these people were my roommates from university, my best friend since childhood, and Chloe, a friend I met after starting work. At this moment, everyone was smiling and making noise, urging me to make a wish and eat the cake quickly. I closed my eyes, feeling extremely soft-hearted. I gently made a wish in my heart. Chloe squeezed in, got close to me, and also closed her eyes in a proper manner. "Then I'll make a wish to ensure that Zara's wish comes true perfectly." As soon as she said that, the others disagreed and also started making wishes one after another, imitating her. Inside the room, everyone was playing and joking with each other, and it was really lively. An involuntary smile appeared on the corner of my mouth. I thought of what my roommate said to me back then: Zara, I hope you know that you're wonderful and you deserve to be loved by anyone. And at this moment, the song in the room was reaching its climax. Anyone standing under the cherry blossom tree is beautiful, and my love is passionate for anyone. It's not that you're good but that I'm good, so don't worry. I will surely bloom brightly and become a wonderful sight. So, when I opened my eyes again, what was in front of me was a vast expanse. I will become better. I will also embrace a better future and bloom brightly.